Hi, my name is Kevin Taylor. I believe there's no press freedom in Ghana today. What we are seeing now is press slavery. This is with all due respect. So with all due respect, this week the World Press Freedom Index was released by Reporters Without Borders, and shockingly, Ghana has dropped 4 points in ranking. To every Ghanaian, this should tell us that our democracy has taken a serious hit. The freedom of the press has been taken away by our leaders. In fact, it has been taken away by this government. My fellow Ghanaians, if you are a young journalist in the Ghana Journalists Association or practicing privately, you have to understand you are basically a walking dead if you think this is a joke. God being good to Ahmed Swali and his family, his body was recovered and given a decent burial. But who knows tomorrow? My fellow journalists, your body might be found in a ditch somewhere. I know these are strong words, but they are the facts. The men and women who are behind the suppression of press freedom will do anything to keep their crimes hidden in the future. Press freedom in Ghana today has been turned into press slavery, if you ask me. Journalists in Ghana today cannot express their views, share the truth with the citizens. Journalists in Ghana today cannot become objective and keep their jobs. At the same time, the worst part is they can't report the truth and still hold on to their dear lives because they will be shot dead in broad daylight. This is the gospel truth, my fellow Ghanaians. The most disgusting thing is journalists in Ghana today fear for their lives. They fear for the lives of their close relatives and colleagues, all because people in power today have succeeded in manipulating and infiltrating what makes our democracy unique. They have succeeded in cutting off the tongue, the honest tongue that will speak truth to power. My fellow Ghanaians, we have to stop pretending. Yes, we have to stop pretending and speak the truth to each other. There's nothing like press freedom in Ghana today. What I see today in Ghana is press slavery. Journalists in Ghana today are forced to do what today's government sees fit. Journalists in Ghana are now forced to dance to the tune of today's people in power. I say journalists in Ghana are modern day slaves because death is the only way out for them if they go contrary to the laws of the people in power. Death and intimidation has become the only reward for journalists who try to speak the truth to power in this country today. Now one might ask, why is this happening in Ghana today? Why is this happening under the rule of a man who boasts of being a human rights lawyer? Why is this happening under the rule of a man who has been an attorney general before and knows the importance of protecting press freedom and freedom of speech of its citizens? We all have to ask ourselves these simple questions, my fellow Ghanaians. These journalists we are going after, the ones we have succeeded in murdering in broad daylight, the ones we are chasing at night to murder, and the others we have openly brutalized in broad daylight were the same journalists who we hailed and praised when we were on the other side of the bridge. Yes, I'm speaking to the NPP. I'm speaking to this government. Today, they have helped us cross the bridge to where we have always wanted to be. So now we see them as a threat to the position we occupy. My fellow Ghanaians, I am worried, I am terrified, and I'm disgusted at the same time because I see our democracy going down the drain each and every day. With all due respect, today as a young Ghanaian, as a young journalist, I feel my life and the life of other journalists in danger under this administration than any other administration that has governed this nation. I know the hypocrites amongst us will stupidly argue and make excuses for this current administration, which I campaigned for and supported. In the past 3 years, in fact, to be specific, since my party, the NPP, took office, this nation has been in the spotlight for intimidating, for assaulting, for poisoning and killing journalists, all because this NPP government feels the journalists must dance to their tune no matter how awful their music sounds. Those who refuse to dance to their ugly sound are murdered in broad daylight on the streets of the capital. We can decide to play politics with this, but the honest truth is our democracy is gradually being submerged by the few who believe the power they have today is their childhood right to own. But can we blame these hungry men? Can we blame these crazy criminals in power who think they can destroy our democracy? No. No, because the so-called senior journalists who are supposed to be the godfathers, the shepherds, and leaders in preaching press freedom and freedom of speech in this our dear nation have now become the masterminds behind the evil deeds of these people in power. They set the agenda for the various media houses. They manipulate, yes, they manipulate the young, ignorant journalists by enticing them with bigger platforms to convince them to do their bidding for them. These so-called senior journalists have turned their respective platforms into government propaganda platforms to confuse and distract the ordinary Ghanaian. They have become ass lickers and petty beggars because they are filled with greed. Yes, they are filled with greed and dishonesty for some Ghanaians. Hate has consumed their hearts. Yes, it has consumed them to the point where defend treason as their birthright. They now defend murderers and criminals in newspapers, on their radios, and every platform they get. Integrity to them is now a piece of trash because they believe it is better for their enemy's enemy to be in power than the enemy they have created in their own hearts. The most dangerous part is the individuals we as a people felt were smart, were young and vibrant, and thought could help push press freedom and freedom of speech agenda have now become zombies in power. Suddenly, they have allowed their lineage and tribalistic ideas taking over their reasoning power. They have now become vessels the criminals in power use to propagate their lies. They have turned journalists into enemies of the people. Out of stupidity and greed, they have forgotten what made them what they are today. They now believe setting the agenda for the nation must be done on Sundays just to dictate and control what we the citizens absorb as news. This is stupidity and dishonesty in the highest order. All these people want to become president in the future, but they have forgotten we the people, yes, we the people will decide in the future who should be president. Finally, with all due respect, this is a very personal episode for me because as a young journalist, as a young Ghanaian, I sometimes get very worried and terrified seeing what some of my other colleagues are going through under this administration I voted for. What gets me terrified is when my fellow Ghanaians and colleagues, out of fear, ask me if I am safe as a Ghanaian today because I have chosen to speak the truth. I have had security officers, government appointees from both the left and right tell me to be careful of this government. A government I trusted and believe can protect me. I have had friends and close confidants call me at midnight to warn me to be careful of this government because they can take my life just like the way they took the life of Ahmed Swali and the others. When ordinary Ghanaians begin to think and anticipate the devilish move of a government that is supposed to protect them, then my fellow Ghanaians, we have to be terrified as a people. This is a government that is supposed to protect its citizens. But if we the citizens are terrified of the same government, then it means our democracy is at a crossroads under the leadership of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Some fools and idiots among us who are filled with tribalism and blinded by political stupidity will deny what I am saying. But we were in this country, in Ghana here, yes, when a sitting member of parliament was heard on live radio inciting people to kill a journalist. And truly, it happened in broad daylight. He even went on live radio to applaud the killers for such barbaric act. As we speak, the government has made sure this issue been put to rest quietly through its allies, the so-called senior journalists who decide what we hear and watch on our respective media platforms every morning. Manasseh Azori, a very renowned journalist, is nowhere to be found, all because he exposed how the government has taken advantage of the ignorant, unemployed youth and turned them into man-killing machines. Azori is now a slave in his own home, hiding from his own shadows. I can also talk about Edward Edeti, the Star FM reporter. He is also now pleading with we Ghanaians to come to his aid, all because he knows and feels people in this government I support want to take his life like the way they took Ahmed Swali's life. What the hell is happening to us, my fellow Ghanaians? Why are we so quiet? Is it because today the leader is one of us? My people, when disaster strikes, it will not be selective. It will kill you and I, and those we are protecting will be thrown out of this country with their families. Let us think, my fellow Ghanaians. This is a matter of life and death. We are living in a dictatorship era, and it will only take us to defuse this disaster hovering on our heads. As I have always said, I'm just a messenger. We can all choose to listen to the message, or we can decide to take the messenger as an enemy. The honest truth is, these words I'm speaking today will come back one day to haunt us. It will haunt our democracy and the future generation if we refuse to speak to corrupt power. For it is said, and I quote, "The chameleon changes color to match the earth, but the earth never changes its color to match the chameleon. End of quote. My fellow Ghanaians, we are the people, we are the power, and we can change things around us. We should not allow some corrupt few to change what we have built. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kevin Ekobedu Taylor, and this is With All Due Respect.